Imagine living next door to her. She brings you cake on feast days. She reads your cards when your mother is sick and you don't know who else to turn to. She is warm, she is certain, and she smells faintly of lavender. And something else, something you never quite think about. Her name is Leonarda, and in the span of 14 months, 3 women walked into her home. Women with hopes, women with small dreams, women who trusted her. None of them ever walked back out. This is the story of Leonarda Cianciulli, la saponificatrice di Correggio, the soap maker of Correggio. And I have to warn you, this one stays with you, not just because of what she did, but because of why she believed she had to do it. Welcome back to Echoes of Darkness, where we go where the light doesn't reach, and we look carefully at what we find there. If this is your first time here, you may want to stay. And if you've been here before, you already know. This one feels different. So let's go to Italy. Let's go to 1939. Let's go to a quiet kitchen in a quiet town, where a woman is making soap. Leonarda Cianciulli was born on April 14, 1894, in the mountain town of Montella in southern Italy. From the very beginning, her life was shaped by loss. She was the product of a rape, a fact she knew and carried. Her childhood was marked by poverty, by stigma, and by a mother who, she said, never forgave her for existing. She attempted suicide twice before the age of 25. She was arrested twice, once for fraud, once for fortune-telling. Not because she had supernatural powers, but because she was frighteningly good at reading people, at knowing what they needed to hear. In her late 20s, she married Raffaele Ponsardi, a man her family disapproved of. They cut her off. She and Raffaele moved constantly. They struggled. And then came the children. 17 pregnancies, 3 surviving children, 10 lost in infancy or miscarriage, 4 more lost in childhood. If you want to understand Leonarda, you have to sit with that number. 17 pregnancies, 3 children who lived. She was consumed by this loss, haunted by it. And somewhere along the way, a fortune teller told her something she never forgot. You will marry, you will have children, but they will all die. Leonarda spent the rest of her life trying to prove that prophecy wrong. And eventually, she decided the only way to do it was to bargain. By 1930, the Cianciulli family had settled in Correggio, a modest market town in northern Italy. Leonarda opened a small shop. She became known for her baking, her warmth, and her uncanny ability to read tarot cards. People came to her with questions they couldn't ask a priest. Will my husband come home? Will my child recover? Am I going to be all right? And Leonarda gave them answers, not because she saw the future, but because she understood fear. Her surviving children grew older, and in 1939, as Italy moved toward war, her beloved eldest son Giuseppe received his call-up papers. He was going to the front. For Leonarda, this was the prophecy coming to collect its debt. She had already lost so many. She could not, would not lose him. And in the months that followed, something inside her shifted. Or perhaps something long dormant finally woke. She became convinced, absolutely convinced, that she could protect her son, that there was a price she could pay, a price in blood. She began keeping a diary. She wrote down everything she did, everything she used, everything she felt. Her handwriting, investigators later said, was steady, unhurried, even on the worst pages. The first woman was Faustina Seti. A lonely spinster, unmarried, hopeful, desperate for a change in her life. She trusted Leonarda completely. Leonarda told her she had found the perfect match, a good man in the city of Pola. All Faustina needed to do was go quietly and write farewell letters to her family. Leonarda would send them. Faustina wrote the letters. She handed them over. She sat down in the kitchen. She never left. In her diary, Leonarda described what happened next with the calm precision of someone following a recipe. She had purchased 7 kilograms of caustic soda, the kind used to make soap. And then she wrote this: I cut her into 9 pieces. I threw the flesh, fat, and blood into a pot. I added 7 kilos of caustic soda and stirred until the body dissolved into a thick, dark mush. I poured it into buckets and dumped it into a septic tank. As for the matter, I turned it into soap and sold it to the neighbors. Faustina trusted her completely, and Leonarda made her say goodbye to her life before taking it.
The second woman was Francesca Suavi. Her hope was different. Not love, but work. A position at a girls' school. A chance to start over. She had heard that Leonarda knew people, that she had connections, that she could open doors. And Leonarda told her exactly what she wanted to hear. There was a school, a good one, a position waiting for her. All she needed to do was go quietly, no fuss, no announcements, and write a few letters first, just to put her affairs in order. Francesca wrote them. She handed them over. She stepped into the kitchen, and like Faustina, she never walked back out. The method was identical. The outcome, identical. The letters, the secrecy, the quiet disappearance. By now, Leonarda had refined her ritual. She had perfected it. This was not frenzy, not panic. This was a woman following a private logic that made perfect sense to her alone. She wrote in her diary that she used the proceeds from both women, their money, their belongings, to buy gifts for her son, to protect him, to pay the price she believed fate demanded. In her mind, the transaction was complete.
The third woman was Virginia Cacioppo, and she was different. Not in how she died, but in who noticed she was gone. Virginia was a former soprano, educated, cultured, known in certain circles. She had lived a life larger than Correggio's narrow streets. When Leonarda approached her, she offered something irresistible, a wealthy impresario in Florence, searching for a voice like hers, a chance to return to the stage, a chance to be heard again. Write the letters. Tell no one. Come to the kitchen. Virginia Cacioppo walked into Leonarda's home in the autumn of 1940. She did not walk out. But Virginia had a sister-in-law, a woman who paid attention, a woman who saw her enter Leonarda's house that day and who noticed when days passed with no word, no letters, no messages, nothing. She went to the Carabinieri, the Italian military police. She told them what she had seen. And when they came to Leonarda's door, they found a woman who did not run, who did not panic, who did not even seem afraid. She told them where to look, and then she told them everything. Leonarda Cianciulli was arrested in November of 1940. She was 46 years old. Her son, Giuseppe, was alive. The war raged on. Her husband,
Raffaele, was questioned. Investigators found nothing, no evidence he had known anything at all. He was acquitted. Her daughter was questioned. She too was cleared. Whatever Leonarda had built in that kitchen, she had built alone. What happened next became one of the most extraordinary legal records in Italian history, because Leonarda did not deny what she had done. She did not claim accident. She did not claim confusion. She explained it, calmly, precisely, as if describing a craft she had practiced for years. She detailed her methods, her materials, her reasoning, her intentions. She confessed to everything, voluntarily, in writing.
She wrote it herself. Every word, every detail. These are her words. I cut her into 9 pieces. I threw the flesh, fat, and blood into a pot. I added 7 kilos of caustic soda and stirred until the body dissolved into a thick, dark mush. I poured it into buckets and dumped it into a septic tank. As for the matter, I turned it into soap and sold it to the neighbors. That was Faustina. And then Virginia. She ended up in the pot like the other 2. Her flesh was fat and white. When it had melted, I added a bottle of cologne. And after a long time on the boil, I made some most acceptable creams, which I sold to some ladies in Correggio. She sold the soap. She sold the creams to the same women who came to her for tarot readings, for comfort, for guidance. Leonarda didn't hide what she was doing. She folded it into ordinary life, into the fabric of the community. That is what makes this case unforgettable.
Leonarda Cianciulli's trial began in 1946, 6 years after her arrest, delayed by the chaos of war. But the courtroom was not there to decide what she had done. Everyone already knew. The question was something else entirely. Was she sane? The court listened. They read her diary. They studied her confession. They examined her methods, the planning, the precision, the calm. And in the end, they reached a conclusion. She was sane, fully responsible. She had known exactly what she was doing. Leonarda Cianciulli was sentenced to 30 years in prison and 3 years in a criminal asylum. She accepted the verdict with the same composure she had shown in her kitchen. No outburst, no collapse, just a quiet, unsettling certainty. She died on October 15th, 1970, at the age of 76. Her son Giuseppe survived the war. Her children outlived her. The tools she used, the pot, the ladle, the soap-making equipment, were preserved in the Criminological Museum in Rome. People still visit them, still stare at them, still wonder how something so ordinary could hold something so monstrous. And in Correggio, the town where it all happened, there is no plaque, no memorial, no marker. But the names remain. Faustina Setti, Francesca Soavi, Virginia Cacciumbo.
I've sat with this case for a long time, and the question that lingers isn't the usual one. Not how did she get away with it? Not why didn't anyone suspect her? Those questions have answers. The question that haunts me is this: what does it mean that she believed she was a good mother? Not a monster,
not a killer, a mother. A woman who had been failed by fate again and again, who had lost more children than most people can imagine, and who decided to fight back in the only way her grief-shaped mind could understand. It was wrong, horrifyingly wrong, but she believed it. She wrote it down. She told the court. She lived it. This case is one of the rare ones where the perpetrator's inner world is visible. Not because she broke under pressure, but because she wanted it known. She wanted someone to understand. Whether she sought validation or simply could not grasp that the understanding she wanted was impossible, we will never know. But we do know this. Faustina Setti wanted to be loved. Francesca Soavi wanted a better life. Virginia Cacioppo wanted to be heard. They came to Leonarda because she seemed like someone who could help them, someone who could guide them, someone they could trust. And that trust was the thing she betrayed most completely. That is the echo this case leaves behind. Not the soap, not the diary, not even the confession. The trust.
Thank you for staying with me through this one. I know it's heavy. Some stories sit deeper than others, and this one sits deep. If this episode meant something to you, share it. Not for the algorithm, though it helps, but because Faustina, Francesca, and Virginia deserve to be remembered by more people than know their names today. Next week on Echoes of Darkness, we go somewhere equally dark, equally human. Until then, the past is watching. Are you ready to look back?